evening. I'd like to call the Fairmont City Council regular meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May 26, 2026, and it is 7 p.m. And I'll ask the city clerk for a roll call of members, please.
Mayor Bolliard,
Present.
Councilmember Rice, Councilmember Moran,
Here.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Here.
Councilmember Weber,
Here.
Councilmember Soul,
Here.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Here.
Councilmember Newsom.
Here.
I make a motion to excuse Deputy Mayor Rice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll move on to our opening ceremonies first. We'll be led in prayer and meditation by Reverend Roy Weiss from the Covenant Church, and then the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Weber.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for an opportunity to be here. We love you. We give you all the praise and the glory. We thank you for this city council. We thank you for the work that they do, Lord, and that they rely on you for the wisdom that's needed to make the decisions, Lord. Father, be with them. Let the Spirit of God fill this room tonight, that they would make decisions, Lord, that would be in line with you and that would be for the betterment of the city. We give you all the praise and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Weiss. Thank you, Councilmember Weber. Moving on, approval of minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from our May 13th meeting? And if so, do I have a motion, a second, to approve these minutes?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any corrections? As hearing none, all those in favor for approving the minutes from the May 13th, 2026 meeting, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? As hearing none, those minutes are now approved. We have no public hearing scheduled this evening, so we'll go to announcements. I'll look to Councilmember Moran.
Yeah, the Fairmont Farmers Market will hold the first market Tuesday, June 2nd, 4 to 7 p.m. on Merchant Street. There are over 100 City of Fairmont parking spaces in the lot right behind. We've got some great farmers, some great vendors, and a lot of the Merchant Street businesses are kind of staying open. So if you like a sandwich, you can get that at Hermosilla's, and it's also within the POTA. So if you like a drink, you can wander down to Stumptown and come visit the market.
Thank you. Councilmember Horton. Councilmember Wade.
Nothing.
Councilmember Weber.
Nothing, thank you, Mayor.
You're most welcome. Councilmember Soul.
Nothing from me.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Nothing.
Okay. Councilmember Newsom.
Nothing.
Well, I have no announcements to share this evening, so we'll move on to our citizens petitions. We have one before us this evening. Reverend Dobbs, if you would step to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to address council, sir.
Thank you. Name is Wesley Dobbs. Live in Carolina, West Virginia. I'm here. First of all, I'd like to say to the mayor and to the city manager and council, good evening. I'm here basically because of Dunbar Foundation, and it seemed like there's been some concern about the foundation. At one time, I was going to let the foundation go, but if I let the foundation go, then I'm letting the building go. And I'm not going to do that because it's a monument to many people that went through Dunbar. What we did do, we got a notice on our grass. As you can drive up there, the grass is cut. We also had a concern about homeless people. We have also no trespassing signs we're going to put up there. That was told to us by, I think, Scott Joplin, and said if the trespassing signs is up there, he'll be able to, the police will be able to do their job. So we want to make sure everything plain. But the only concern I got, they concerned about a leak in our utility building, and I just want to know, how does that affect the city of Fairmont that we have a leak in our utility building? How does that affect Fairmont, city of Fairmont?
Well, in my opinion, Wesley,
The building is a very good building.
Yes.
It's a historic building, and if you can't do something with the foundation to repair it, then I think we ought to find someone to voluntarily repair that particular part of your building.
Well, we are going to work on that because the reason is, I think we was talking to Scott, or someone was talking to Scott. He made the statement, if we fix the roof, we have to put a lien against Dunbar. We are not going to have that. We're going to do what we need to do, and we're going to keep it straight for the City of Fairmont. And we're going to make sure not only for the City of Fairmont, but all those alumni that went to that school. We owe them that, and we are checking into making that historical place. Okay, we are checking into that, but I want to give the council an update. I think you deserve it, and I just wanted to personally come in and give you an update. Thank you very much.
Pastor Dobbs, if I
Yes.
may, are you the main point of contact for the foundation that we
Yes,
can we can correspond with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
City manager. At one time, I thought about, because this is lots of headache, because it is. I mean, but I thought about it, and I said, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
And see what we can do. And
Because certainly from our perspective, we want to work with you all, and,
right.
as well as heed the phone calls that we get from some of the constituents that live in the neighborhood. And so
Right.
now that we know that you're that main point,
yeah,
I certainly would like for our team to be able to sit down with you and be able to work through these issues with you.
sounds good to me, sir.
Wesley, do you have the board of directors intact as well?
Yes,
for the
we do.
foundation?
We have a board of directors. At one time, they also was going to sit down because, you know, Dunbar had a good thing going, and something happened in the past, and that's in the past. I don't want to bring up the past. I'm looking towards the present and the future, and that's what we want to do. So I look forward to working with you and the council. Thank you all.
Thank you, Reverend Dobbs. The next item is our city manager's report, so I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Blosser.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll try to keep my report somewhat short. So I did want to share that our team at the city, we've mailed out the renewals for business licensing, although businesses will see a change with that for most of our businesses, they will see a reduction in their licensing fee. So when that's reflected, I certainly think a lot of businesses will appreciate that, but there may be some that question and think maybe they got put in a wrong category. That business license fee has changed. And then folks who have consistently have one of the 14 different alcohol licensures that remain the same as part of council's reforms of our business licensing process, those business licenses will remain in effect in that same manner, and those businesses will see that in the same posture in which they have consistently. But there's one general business license at that $10 rate, and so most businesses will see a reduction to that, and those are going out in the mail as we speak for those renewals. I then also wanted to take an opportunity to discuss a little bit the some of the grant opportunities we're working on, in particular, because I think it's always a great opportunity to highlight a couple of primary things that have just recently in the last 2 weeks, especially because council's omnibus resolution, as you all will recall, when I got here, our grant administrator had been working for the city for a couple of months before I got here, and we had never really truly had a grant administrator, someone who purely focused on that on a day-to-day basis. It was kind of every department taking those functions on themselves. We still brought in grant dollars, but not nearly the level, which is why City Council, that was one of the things that was echoed from you all of seeing a position like that. We've doubled down on that. We have a consulting firm in Washington, D.C. that is essentially our lobbying firm in D.C. that works with us around this, that we have on retainer. And that has been hugely successful with us. We've we've leveraged and brought in a lot of resources. But in particular, I wanted to focus on some work that we're doing that this omnibus resolution kind of helps us pursue these items ahead of time versus missing out on deadlines. And so one of these is in relation to Park Drive. As some of you know, that area sustained some flooding damage during the Father's Day flood. And there's an old storm drainage system that the city does not have ownership of that's underneath private structures. We received FEMA money through that process that is paying for the design work associated with that. Also, the 75% of the design work, 25% of funding is coming from the governor's office as part of money they got from FEMA. So 100% of the design costs for that project are being paid for. But we are pursuing a grant that is due June, I believe June 12th is the deadline. And so using that as an example, sometimes by the time we get all of that paperwork ready to get submitted, there's not enough time to have a council meeting to have that authorized to submit. So by you all authorizing this, continuing this resolution, which is still in effect at the moment, gives us the opportunity to submit for what is a BRIC grant, building better resiliency in communities. And we're pursuing that related to this project and securing funds for the construction of that, which we are right now building the opinion of probable cost. Construction documents are very close. That number we anticipate will probably hover between $1 million to $1.2 million. So a significant cost and a significant grant that if we get the opportunity. And we've also been encouraged to apply for that funding by the state as the money flows from the federal government to the state government to allocate related to projects. So that's just one example. And then another example is pursuing funds around the entire Locust Avenue corridor and dealing with the drainage issues in Coal Run Hollow, which will, the grant that we are pursuing in that respect is in relation to full construction documents. There's been studies that have been done. I just had a conversation with the newspaper earlier about a study that was done back in 2001 related to the Coal Run Hollow area. We were not able to implement a lot of the things from that study. There would have been, it was not construction documents, it was just an evaluation. It gave a lot of recommendations. The problem was at the time, in 2001, the city lacked resources, the state lacked resources to be able to implement going to construction documents or looking at any of that. It also, unfortunately, sometimes these grant opportunities don't become available until catastrophic events happen either in the state or in our region or specifically in our city. And so now that has occurred, unfortunately, we've now had resources come available to us. So we're focusing in on applying for funding that will allow us to get to full construction documents as it relates to that entire corridor, which will also benefit our ongoing continual relationship with Fairmont State University and their efforts to remediate properties along Locust Avenue that we announced that deal with them that they are in the process of moving towards closing around that real estate. So I just wanted to highlight those two grant opportunities in particular because I felt like that was a great opportunity talking about this omnibus resolution because we are seeing a significant, it's one thing just to put these resolutions before you that just every single year, but I wanted to highlight the reason why this is so strategically important and has been really beneficial to us securing resources and dollars for key priority projects that we've heard from City Council as well as our constituents to work to implement. And so I wanted to highlight that. I also wanted to share that I was very encouraged by the Build America 250 Act and put a lot of information, I'm not going to highlight all of that, but a lot of that information to you all in your weekly report that passed out of markup in the U.S. House of Representatives. I think, again, as we have articulated from a water and sewer front, and particularly sewer, but also on virtually a lot of transportation needs, bridges, the Everest Drive Bridge that we're still focused on getting dealt with, the funding side that was put into the Build America 250 Act, I was very optimistic by and the resources that were there. To be frank, I was very concerned in particular about the Safe Streets for All grant. I felt that we had a planning grant, which was a strategic requirement to have that funding and get that implemented and do the planning process to then be eligible for what would be upwards of $25 million to implement certain components of that we'd get the study done and then as we kind of talked about during the housing needs assessment, the last thing we want to do is do a study to then have it sit on a shelf. I was worried we'd have a study and it would sit on a shelf because we would eliminate a funding priority from within the budget. And to be frank, that didn't happen. Not only did it not happen, they put $3.7 billion towards that program in that markup that came out of the U.S. House of Representatives. They also did something that I think is very strategically important for our community, was they built in rural set-asides. And that is something that, you know, Congressman McKinley, I get a little emotional talking about it. He and I had a very good relationship. It's something that he and I consistently talked about on a regular basis, in particular around transportation needs and utility infrastructure needs, was those rural set-asides. We are, at times, when you think of the U.S. House of Representatives, battling what are a significant amount of House seats that come from larger population states that do not have the necessary rural issues that we deal with and that our constituents deal with. Has nothing to do with political politics, because some of those districts in some of those states are Republican and some of them are Democrat. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just the sheer population size, and that issues in suburban areas are not the same as in rural America. And that is what the primary thing that he and I consistently talked about, is a lot of times those rural set-asides would get put into place, and then there'd be carve-out ways for those larger population centers to still get at that money. So I was very optimistic with a lot of the amendment processes to try to secure those rural set-asides even more than what they were initially in the bill. But I'm very optimistic about where things are headed, because I think a concern has been a lot of money was appropriated to infrastructure and whether or not there would be continual money appropriated to that. And so I'm very optimistic to see this bill moving out of markup and hopefully through the legislative process to set those top line budget numbers for the next several years on some of these programs. So I wanted to highlight that. Again, I highlighted it for City Council, but highlight it for the public as well. And I believe, Madam Mayor, that contains my report this evening. Thank you. Yes.
The governor's, what's her name? Is she on the transportation committee, or person of the transportation committee? Capito.
Oh, you're talking about Senator Capito?
Yeah.
So Senator, she is in an appropriate, well, both her and Congressman Moore and their respective two bodies serve in an appropriations role. Mm-hmm. Now, she is Environmental and Public Works Subcommittee Chair, which is where funding that we are going after related to water sewer projects, a lot of that funding moves through. But she is also a very senior player in the United States Senate. So she plays a significant leadership role, which has benefited us. I mean, and one example I'll give, I'd shared this with City Council, and I shared it at the last City Council meeting, but it's continuing to move along, is the $10 million request that we put in towards the sanitary sewer project side, the $108 million we're looking at in first phase improvements. $10 million next to $108 million doesn't seem like a lot of money, but that is a significant chunk of money to get in a congressionally directed spending appropriation that we're also prepared that may ultimately get reduced back in the final budget side. It could be halved. We've seen that happen in the U.S. House of Representatives in their budgeting process. But we have commitments from Senator Capito's staff and her team, and from herself directly, that it is a priority project. She's very focused on those infrastructure pieces related to water and sewer in particular, and trying to address those. So that's been very, very good. But our delegation also, unlike a lot of states, coordinates with each other pretty significantly. And so Congressman Moore, while we did not have him introduce that $10 million appropriation, he'll be able to follow that process in the House appropriation side that he is a committee member of. So our delegation coordinates with each other. There's a reason why Senator Justice, why we submitted our $10 million request to him as well, did not include that, because him and Senator Capito coordinate their CDS expenditures and what is submitted and what's not submitted, and then they work together on. And so we've met with all of their offices, talked about it. Senator Capito's office took the lead related to our project funding, which we're encouraged by, again, because of her committee ranking.
But you had a conversation with her.
Yes, and we continue to stay engaged with them, and in particular, continue to stay engaged around these bills because this is moving through, the Build 250 Act is moving through the House right now. The Senate will have their own version that they move through, and we've been communicating to her. She knows how important the Safe Streets for All grant has been, and that we want to see those implementation dollars the same way that other communities have gotten access to that. And in particular, I mean, West Virginia, a lot of communities got SS4A planning grants, but because of delays in administration sides, when you have a change in administration, a lot of communities got left on the tail end of, not getting the documentation necessary to move forward with getting those planning grants done. So then it left them ineligible to apply for this last round of funding in SS4A. And in particular, it was a lot of communities that are within her jurisdiction in West Virginia. And so there were a lot of West Virginia communities that didn't get access to that, which was also why my understanding in the House side, there was a big focus on that rural piece because a lot of suburban communities had already been doing a lot of SS4A type planning. So they already had a leg up and a head start on communities of a more rural nature that weren't doing a lot of plannings because they don't have mass transportation. They're not dealing with some of those same issues and lack resources, to be frank, to be able to implement that. That's my long-winded answer, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to consideration of council business, we have no pending business before us, so we'll move on to new business. First item for consideration is the consideration and adoption of a resolution. City Clerk would read that by synopsis, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Fairmont declaring its official intent to reimburse expenditures made from proceeds of bonds or other obligations. The City of Fairmont, the city, has created a redevelopment district known and designated as the City of Fairmont Redevelopment District Number 1, the TIF District, under and pursuant to West Virginia Code 7-11B, the TIF Act, approved a project plan for the TIF district known and designated as the City of Fairmont Redevelopment Project Plan Number 1, the project plan, and established a tax increment financing fund, the TIF fund, for the TIF district in order to facilitate the issuance of tax increment financing obligations and the utilization of the tax increment revenues to finance all or a portion of the projects described in the project plan. The city has undertaken the planning, design, permitting, acquisition, construction, reconstruction, renovation, and equipping of site, infrastructure, and other improvements to the railhead and remaining components of a project commonly referred to as the West Fork River Rail Trail, and any extension surrounds located in or adjacent to and benefiting the TIF district, including but not limited to the construction and equipping of a facility concept utilized as the Momentum Adventure Park and improvements to an adjacent facility located at 12th Street, including a structure formerly known as the Davis Electric Building, the project. In order to provide funding for the project, the city anticipates issuing tax increment financing bonds and other obligations, the bonds, in the maximum principal amount of $20 million. The city intends to reasonably expects that certain expenditures relating to the project will be made prior to the date of issuance of the bonds or other obligations that will be reimbursed with the proceeds from the bonds, which reimbursement is subject to certain United States Treasury rules and regulations promulgated thereunder, one of which requires the city to adopt a declaration of official intent. By this proposed resolution, the city wishes to take such action as necessary or permitted to comply with the aforementioned rule.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for that second. Any discussion regarding this resolution before we vote?
Madam Mayor, if I can, I
Yes.
would like to, and I think it just is a benefit to both city council as well as the public that, the bond process, and in particular TIF districts, can be fairly complicated. I'm the first person to admit that I am not an expert in TIF districts, so bear with me. I'm going to read, I had provided to you all as city council kind of a I feel like I spent a fair amount of time trying to provide a decent written narrative to kind of walk through this process with you all. So I'm going to read some of that verbatim just because I think it will be a benefit for everybody. So the resolution that is placed before you this evening on this agenda is just the beginning pieces of the financing of one of the TIF projects, namely Momentum Adventure Park and the extension of the West Fork River Trail, which you all have been kept up to date on and seen the renderings for. The project, as you know, is well under design, and we've begun to build out the total estimated cost associated with the complete project, which includes that the Davis building that we refer to in the document as well. Alongside that effort, we also now are pivoting to that component of looking at the financing side to that. The TIF district has working cash inside of it, which you see from our TIF reports, and you've been updated. You just got your 10-year update from us on that. You know, that cash side has been paying for the design and all of those. And so far, any of our projects have all been pay as you go, which is essentially basically paying with cash. There's been no bond indentures associated with those. The understanding was from the construct of the TIF district from the beginning was that there would be those projects, namely the trail extension project, as well as the trailhead, which is now Momentum Adventure Park. It has a name to it, not just trailhead. That was in scope was probably one of the bigger projects within the TIF district when it was formulated. So that the design was knowing at some point we would get to a level where the increment would be as such that we would be armed with the ability to look at what would that financing structure need to look like so that we don't spend through all of that cash, because there are certainly a fair number of existing projects within the district that are either in the existing document or that we're highlighting to look to add going down the road. And then again, that district has a finite life to it. Now, there are ways to expand its life based on the expansion of the district, but that's a very complicated process. And quite frankly, we've looked at some of that, and I don't know that we necessarily fit those niches to be able to make that move to increase the life of the TIF district. So, alongside this effort and looking at the financing of the project, given its complete scope and based on it being that single biggest project outlined within the TIF district, there's also a significant amount of work still left to do as well. So this is just the beginning process. The city has retained a bond counsel through Tom Ammon with Steptoe and Johnson. You can Google Tom Ammon. You'll see that he is probably in the state one of the preeminent bond counsels for TIF districts in particular. So we have retained him, as well as our underwriters, Cruz and Associates. And I'll be frank, in any of these processes, our underwriters have bond counsels, and their bond counsels are with Jackson and Kelly. And then there will be separate underwriters for the actual, when the bond issuance happens, there'll be another set of bond underwriters. So this is a very big team of folks that are being compiled, but that work will include an evaluation of our current increment to determine whether or not it can sustain the total bond obligations that we're looking to potentially issue, and if it's feasible, the project. If feasible, will the project increase that increment? And they will be able to provide projections because they've done this on a multitude of different other opportunities when those happen. So we'll be able to see what would that increment rise potentially look like. There's also good data from our existing district as for a number of years before we started doing projects, our increment rose pretty consistently over a course of years just by natural growth and property tax increase. But we've also seen in the last number of years a dramatic level of increase in that based on projects that have been conducted and seeing expenditures and growth in our economy. So we've seen that increment increase to a level that we feel just internally that it's an appropriate time to look at that bond indenture side to fund those projects and drive home what would be the largest project within the district spelled out currently in order to grow that increment further so that we can do additional projects within the district. And so the other thing I wanted to highlight is that without getting too deep into it, because there are some nuances, but this is also, our district is different than what you will sometimes see as developers' TIF districts, because this is led by the government in this instance. And then the other thing that I want to highlight is the reimbursement resolution. People see the maximum amount listed of $20 million does not mean we intend to issue $20 million. I know that Tom Ammon, if he were standing here today, I can probably find videos of him speaking for 4 county commissions and city councils around reimbursement resolutions. There's always a top line number that is set because it is very difficult to change that top line number based on those treasury rules that are highlighted within the resolution. Our intention, and as we showcase to you, is if any bonds amounts that we are looking at would probably be substantially lower than that $20 million figure. But that maximum amount is set because we really can't go back and change that maximum number later from this resolution. So we eventually anticipate that eventually that bond amount will be substantially lower. Again, this is a common practice in reimbursement resolutions. And then the other thing that I also want to try to highlight is we're still refining those numbers. One of the big, I think we feel pretty comfortable with where the footprint of Momentum Adventure Park in particular and the trail are pretty finite. The area where we still have a lot of work to determine cost side is related to the redevelopment of the Davis building, which is that public-private partnership we've talked about. And one of the other requirements is that a potential developer, and as we've structured this, the developer we are having conversations with, Enzo Properties, that could be plugged and played with a different developer if those conversations aren't as fruitful as we would like them to be. But that will change what that total scope of investment related to that property looks like. So we're still refining what that scope is. And so those numbers could tweak and lower down what that ultimate bond issuance looks like. And so, the big thing that I wanted to highlight is as this work continues and expands, we know there will be additional costs related to legal, related to engineering and design. There is a finite look-back time period in order to have those expenses that would otherwise be paid for out of cash, so money that could be used for other district-related projects, to have that reimbursed by the bond proceeds. So when we issue those bonds, if we want to reimburse those legal expenses and design expenses, this resolution is necessary to be in place as there is a look-back period. Some things, some engineering expenses, you can get around some of that look-back period, but a lot of the legal expenses and other things you can't. And as we start bringing on bond counsel and underwriters, there's an expense side to that doesn't get paid out until bonds are issued. But when that happens, that's why this is required, is so those bond counsel, those people doing the work will know they are going to get reimbursed for those expenditures out of the bond indentures. So that is what this resolution is before you. It is not authorizing those bonds. I am saying to you, by putting this on your agenda, we are intending to bring forward those to you, but that will only be after a fair amount of work that is conducted to lay out, does that increment sustain it? And you will have a lot smarter people than just me standing in front of you articulating the financing structure to this and what it looks like, bond counsels and underwriters providing that data and that information to you all, as well as to the public in this setting as this moves forward. And so I wanted to highlight that because I know, and again, I blame no one for it. Listen, there's things I learn every single day around redevelopment and in particular around TIF districts. And I thought it was not to belabor this issue because I'm sure some of you are like, Travis, you already wrote that in a report to us. But I thought it was really important to kind of share that information as well as share it with the public too, as it's a very long process. But I think at the end of the day, the ultimate goal of TIF districts is that but-for test. But for the investment from the district, that project wouldn't happen, which then would essentially necessitate no growth in increment to pay for those improvements. And eventually the goal is that when this district goes away, those dollars are not disappearing. They're going back into the school system, going back into the county, the city, all that breakdown of where those property tax dollars get broken out to the levies that we have. So by virtue of us increasing that increment and continuing to work to grow it, naturally, when this district goes away in about 20 years, I think it has right around a little under 20 probably now, that money will get broken up between all those categories. It will not just disappear. It will go back into the system to fund core governmental services and services for our community. So the whole goal of this district is to grow increment and grow investment within the district. So one of our primary focuses is just to highlight for you some of the projects we're looking at adding. We're looking at adding projects like the spaces downtown, whether that's Pierpont Plaza and taking that project on. We're also looking at projects related to our water and sewer front. And in particular, the great example is around Locust Avenue. So if you think of Locust Avenue, the university piece is outside the TIF district. But the section of the property in which most of Coal Run Hollow sits is within the TIF district. So as we grow this increment, as we keep funds available, when we're going after to secure grant dollars, if Coal Run Hollow is added in as a project, and let's say we can get 75% of our construction dollars to implement the improvements of the design that we're looking to get to construction documents for, and we want to build that out, well, we need a 25% match. Our goal would be trying to utilize those dollars that we grow that increment and build up that cash side to fund that 25% match. So there's a rhyme and reason why we're strategically looking at projects and saying, how can we drive this? How can we grow the increment? How can we make the investment that leads to that increment continuing to grow? Because this district's here for 20 years. The projects that are there are not finite. We will continue to add projects to it because that's what those funds are there for, and that's the reason we constructed the district to begin with. It was to reinvest in our community to drive further growth and development and opportunity. And I think that is our primary focus. And I think as we move through this process, I think we will all get much more educated around the TIF process and how this works as these experts are in talking with us. But I did want to highlight that this resolution is just that first stage in moving this process forward. So I appreciate you all letting me belabor that, and certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any other discussion regarding this resolution?
Travis, who is handling the account with Cruz Associates?
Cruz and Associates, I believe it's Rob Steptoe. Yeah.
That's on the bond council side.
That's our underwriters. So there will be, when the bonds move, there will be a separate set of underwriters related to the people purchasing the bonds. So there'll be a lot of people involved in this, but our core team is Steptoe Johnson and Cruz and Associates.
And with Steptoe is Tom Amon.
Tom Amon, correct.
Thank you. Any other discussion before we vote this evening?
Mr. Blosser, I appreciate all of the extra information. I know I'm frequently the one that says, explain this to me, and you did a really good job because helping me understand that this is just an intent to declare, was hugely helpful. But should we go through this process and the bond committee looks at everything and they say, like, yeah, this looks good, we want to move forward in the end. When it comes to the issuance of those bonds, that comes back before council again? Is there a public hearing? Like, what is that process?
Yeah, it comes back before council, and I believe it's a 3 reading, if I'm not mistaken, around bonds. Is it?
It depends on the nature of the bonds. Sewer bonds have a higher rating obligation than water bonds.
But there will be a public hearing through the process, yeah.
So there would be a public hearing on the ordinance.
Yeah, and by the way, I also appreciate the Mr. Blosser thing, since we.
I had to work hard for it, but thank you.
But you are more than welcome to refer to me as Travis.
All right, Mr. Blosser.
Any other discussion? As hearing none, I will ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Sol,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
No.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Boyard.
Yes. The next item on our agenda is also the consideration, the adoption of an omnibus resolution. If the city clerk would read that by synopsis, please.
An omnibus resolution of the Council of the City of Fairmont authorizing the submission of applications to various granting agencies, including private foundations, corporations, or governmental entities for grants that will benefit the City of Fairmont, further its goals and objectives, and otherwise lessen the burden of government, and providing the city manager or his designee with authority to do all things reasonable and necessary in connection with said application for fiscal year 2026-2027. By this proposed resolution for fiscal year 2026-2027, the Council of the City of Fairmont generally authorizes the filing of unspecified grant applications to private foundations, corporations, and governmental entities requesting grant funds that benefit the City of Fairmont, further its goals and objectives, and otherwise lessen the burden of government. By this proposed resolution, the Council of the City of Fairmont further nominates and appoints a city manager or designee as the official representative to act on behalf of the City of Fairmont in connection with any such grant application. If passed, the authority of this omnibus grant resolution shall expire on June 30th, 2027.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion regarding this resolution before us this evening? As hearing none, I will ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. The next few items on our agenda are reappointments or appointments to boards and commissions. The first is one, reappointment to the Arts and Humanities Commission, 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2029. And the name of the appointee that's been provided is Treasurer Wyckoff. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this appointee?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding this appointee? As hearing none, I'll ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom, Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. Next item is also one reappointment to the Arts and Humanities Commission, 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2029. And the name of the nominee is Christian Cox. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this nominee?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding this nominee? As hearing none, I will ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. The next item is also one reappointment to the Arts and Humanities Commission, 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2029. And the name of the nominee is Chayla Olivito. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this nominee?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? As hearing none, I will ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. The next item is one appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, alternative member, 3-year term, unexpired term, ending June 25th, 2029. And the name of the appointee is Laura Candell. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this nominee?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? As hearing none, I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. The next item is also one appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, 3-year unexpired term ending January 1st, 2028. And the name of the appointee is Dan Swiger. Do I have a motion and a second to approve this nominee?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? As hearing none, I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Sol,
Yes?
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. Next item is also one appointment, Fairmont Planning Commission, 3-year unexpired term ending September 17th, 2026, and the name of the appointee is Chris Yost. Do I have a motion, a second, to approve this?
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. Any discussion regarding this nominee?
Madam Mayor, if I may, so I don't typically do this because typically the candidates don't show up, so I'm going to embarrass Chris a little bit. So as you all are well aware, and Shay articulated in the housing study presentation, we're getting ready to embark on our comprehensive plan process. Councilor Moran serves as your all's representative on the Planning Commission. They will have a heavy role in that. A part of that will be, to be frank, for them to be good Planning Commission members, will be attending a lot of those public events and engagements around that process. I see Mr. Houston here as well, who is also a member of the Planning Commission, and he'll be right along in that process. And so having effective and consistent members that want to show up and be engaged in that process is extremely important to the Planning Commission's role for the city. And I think Chris will do a fantastic job, which is why I'm recommending him for this, and look forward to his input as someone who has young kids in this community and is invested here. I think his view will be extremely important on that Planning Commission, and I have full faith and confidence in him and why I'm recommending him to you this evening. So that's all I wanted to add, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion regarding this nominee? As hearing none, I will ask the city clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember McDaniel,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Moran,
Yes.
Councilmember Newsom,
Yes.
Councilmember Sol,
Yes.
Councilmember Wade,
Yes.
Mayor Bolliard.
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Yost, since you are here this evening. The next item on our agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion, a second, to adjourn our meeting this evening?
So moved. Second.
Thank you for that second. All those in favor for adjourning, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, as hearing none, we are adjourned, and thank you, everyone.